Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the christening of the Indiana, SSN 789. I'm Jennifer Dunn, Vice President of Communications at Newport News Shipbuilding, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning and to introduce our platform guests. If everyone could please rise as the official party takes its place on the platform. Please welcome Commander Jesse Zimbauer, Commanding Officer, Indiana. Captain Douglas Lemon, Supervisor of Shipbuilding, Newport News. Vice Admiral Joseph Malloy, Vice Admiral, United States Navy. Mr. Mike Petters, President and CEO, Huntington Ingalls Industries. Admiral Tom Fargo, U.S. Navy retired and Chairman of the Board, Huntington Ingalls Industries. The Honorable Donald McEachin, 4th Congressional District, Virginia. The Honorable Rob Whitman, 1st Congressional District, Virginia. Mr. Jeff Geiger, President, General Dynamics Electric Boat. Vice Admiral Joseph Tafalo, Commander, Submarine Forces. Senator Joe Donnelly, U.S. Senator, Indiana. The Honorable Bobby Scott, 3rd Congressional District, Virginia. The Honorable Sean Stackley, Acting Secretary of the Navy. Please welcome Newport News Shipbuilding President Matt Mulheron, who is accompanying Indiana's sponsor, Mrs. Diane Donald. And now, please welcome the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the Parade of Colors and the National Anthem. The Parade of Colors is by the Warwick High School Naval JROTC. This will be followed by the National Anthem performed by Newport News Master Shipbuilder, Mr. Samuel Brandon. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Color Guard, retire the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, to deliver today's invocation, please welcome the 2016 Sailor of the Year, Petty Officer First Class Robert Hawk, PCU, Indiana.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for meeting us here today as we celebrate the christening of the Indiana. We are honored by all the talent and dedication that you have placed in this team building this submarine. We give thanks for all of the support from our family members. We thank you for all the dedicated work done by the craftsmen. Thank you for the committed team here on Indiana. And most importantly, the sacrifices given by the friends and family as we build this superior warship. Continue to bless us, continue to guide us, and allow our actions to bring grace to you each day, Lord. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. And now, please welcome Newport News Shipbuilding President, Mr. Matt Mulheron.
Well, good morning. Distinguished platform guests, ladies and gentlemen, and most especially our sponsor, Diane Donald. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to Newport News Shipbuilding and to the christening of the Virginia-class submarine, Indiana. We are so pleased you could join us and take part in today's ceremony. My special thanks to Petty Officer First Class Hawk for delivering the invocation, to the Warwick High School Color Guard, and the United States Navy Ceremonial Band for their roles in opening this ceremony with such patriotic spirit. I'd also like to offer my special thanks to our very own Samuel Brandon for his fantastic performance of the national anthem. Thank you all. In addition to our platform guests, there are a few people in the audience I'd like to recognize. We are honored to welcome our sponsor's husband, retired Admiral Kirkland Donald. I would also like to welcome the director of the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Program, Admiral Frank Caldwell, and his wife, Kim. We are pleased to have several elected officials with us. Delegate Rocky Holcomb is here, as well as Newport News Mayor McKinley Price and Hampton Mayor Donnie Tuck. From Indiana, we are pleased to have State Representative Jim Baird and State Senator Brant Hirschman. Also from the Hoosier State, we are happy to welcome several members of the Indiana Christening Committee. It's great to see you, and thank you for traveling so far today. This ceremony is extra special because we have a group of veterans with us today who served aboard the first Indiana, BB-58, a battleship built by Newport News Shipbuilding that was commissioned 75 years ago tomorrow. Please welcome 14 former crew members of Indiana, BB-58. To everyone here today and those watching on the live webcast, welcome. We are pleased you could join us as we christen this 16th submarine of the Virginia class. Today's ceremony gives us the rare opportunity to host visitors inside our gates and to show off what shipbuilders do each and every day. I will tell you it's really difficult for shipbuilders to talk about their work. There are security restrictions to consider, of course, but beyond that, it's hard to describe what it's like to build one of the most complex machines in the world. For our shipbuilders who do this every day, they can even lose perspective to their contributions to our Navy and to our nation. For them, it's all part of a hard day's work, a long, hard, honest day's work. However, as you look upon this magnificent vessel, I think you'll agree it's no ordinary job. In fact, it's pretty extraordinary. Our shipbuilders define what made in America means. So would all the shipbuilders from Newport News and Electric Boat and all the representatives from supplier businesses please stand to be recognized. It makes me proud to work with people who care about quality and craftsmanship. That was true when we built the mighty battleship Indiana, and it still holds true today. For 131 years, we've built a reputation for delivering quality ships. But when you stop and think about it, we aren't just delivering great ships, we're delivering freedom. When Indiana joins the fleet, she'll deliver her own brand of freedom, taking with her the spirit of her sponsor, the strength of her crew, and the pride and artistry and skill of her shipbuilders. Today's christening ceremony signifies another successful step in Indiana's journey to proudly represent the Hoosier State and the United States for many years to come. Congratulations to everyone on a job well done. Thank you. And now it is my honor to introduce our next speaker. He leads the great shipbuilders of Electric Boat, our teammates in this Virginia-class program. Please give a warm Newport News welcome to the President of General Dynamics Electric Boat, Mr. Jeff Geiger.
Thank you, Matt, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to recognize all of the very distinguished platform guests, in particular, Vice President Pence, and of course, our ship sponsor, Mrs. Diane Donald, who for her entire adult life has been an active member of the Navy submarine family. How appropriate it is for Diane to be named sponsor of our Navy's newest submarine. Her years of deep involvement with our sailors and their spouses and families have more than equipped her for this responsibility. The ship's force of the future USS Indiana is blessed to have her support as sponsor. With her husband, retired Admiral Kirkland Donald, she forms a team dedicated to the Navy, its nuclear propulsion program, and its submarine force. On behalf of the men and women of General Dynamics Electric Boat, I'm honored to participate in the christening of the Indiana, the 16th ship of the Virginia class. A moment ago, I used the word team to describe Admiral and Mrs. Donald, and I'll use that word again to describe the shipbuilders of Electric Boat and Newport News, the United States Navy, our supplier base, and our supporters in Congress. This is an awesome team, and this is a proud moment for everyone on it. The Virginia-class team remains absolutely committed to ensuring that this program sustains its reputation as one of our nation's outstanding acquisition projects and one of the finest shipbuilding programs ever. This same team now is bringing to bear the same skills, capabilities, and commitment to a shipbuilding program essential for our nation's security into the 2080s and beyond, the Columbia-class strategic deterrent submarine. Finally, and very importantly, I want to recognize the contributions of Commander Jesse Zimbauer and his superb crew, who, with the shipbuilders of Newport News, are advancing the completion of this tremendous submarine. One of the most indelible experiences of my life has been the privilege of riding the EB-delivered Virginia-class submarines on their initial sea trials. The capability and precision of execution demonstrated by the officers and sailors of these submarines must be seen to be fully appreciated. It is nothing short of awe-inspiring to witness the performance of these ships and crews during these trials. And I know Commander Zimbauer and his ship's force will display the same characteristics as they work diligently to prepare this submarine for sea trials, delivery, and commissioning. Commander Zimbauer, the performance of you and your crew is a testament to your complete dedication to duty and unyielding commitment to excellence. By working closely with such crews and the rest of the Virginia team, the shipbuilders of Electric Boat and Newport News will accomplish what we know we can, producing the world's most advanced submarines, affordably, and enabling the Navy to remain the undisputed leader in undersea capability. Today's christening is a rewarding and meaningful day, as it celebrates a key event in the progression of Indiana, a new, highly capable Navy platform imbued with the powerful and committed spirit of its sponsor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. We are very fortunate to have a strong Virginia delegation that supports shipbuilding and our shipbuilders. We are so pleased that Congressman Whitman and Congressman McEachin have both joined us today. Thank you all for coming. It gives me great pleasure to welcome their colleague and someone who has been a good friend and supporter to our shipbuilders for many years. He's currently serving his 13th term in the U.S. House of Representatives. We are proud to be located in his district and honored to have him back for today's ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Congressman Bobby Scott.
Thank you, Matt, for your very kind remarks, and good morning, Newport News. It's an honor to be here at the christening of the Indiana, the newest Virginia-class submarine. I'd first like to welcome our former House colleague, Senator Joe Donnelly, and I'd also like to especially welcome the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. The Vice President and I served together many years in the House and also served on the Judiciary Committee, so it's an honor to have him in Newport News for this momentous occasion. I'm also pleased to congratulate Mrs. Donald, the ship's sponsor. She has been to the shipyard many times and knows how important the sponsor is to a ship. And I'm also pleased to be here with my colleagues Don McEachin and Rob Whitman, who serve us well not only in the House but specifically on the Armed Services Committee, particularly Rob, who serves as chair of the Sea Power Subcommittee. So give them another round of applause for their hard work and dedication. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the finest shipbuilding facility in the United States, one of the greatest economic assets of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Huntington Ingalls Newport News Shipbuilding. Nuclear submarines and aircraft carriers constructed here in Newport News are vital to our nation's security. Our Navy must be ready to respond to any challenge that lays ahead, such as threats at home or abroad, or the need to quickly respond to a humanitarian disaster. To ensure that our nation is capable of meeting these challenges, we must continue to invest in shipbuilding and continue to build the most sophisticated advanced ships in the world. The Virginia-class submarine is clear evidence that this shipyard and its partner, General Dynamics Electric Boat, are ensuring the Navy is able to meet this vital goal. The Indiana is the 16th Virginia-class submarine Like the other 15, the Indiana will continue to allow the Navy to maintain our nation's undersea supremacy. This new ship will be a fine example of our dedication to maintaining our sovereign ability to sail the oceans unfettered to protect American interests all over the world. Citizens of the great state of Indiana can be justifiably proud that this new ship carries the state's name. This shipyard would not be able to build these technologically advanced ships without the hard work of our shipbuilders. Shipbuilding runs deep in our community, and for more than 130 years, the men and women who work in this shipyard have been providing our Navy with the most advanced, best-built ships in the world. President John F. Kennedy once said, "Let every nation know, whether it wishes us well or ill, that we will pay any price, bear any burden, meet any hardship, support any friend, oppose any foe, to assure the survival and success of liberty." Shipbuilders of Newport News, your good work on the Indiana make sure that our nation continues to fulfill this promise and make sure that the crew of the Indiana will be able to accomplish any mission assigned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Scott. Our next speaker is a career submarine officer who has served on both fast attack and ballistic missile submarines in both the Atlantic and the Pacific. Today, he is responsible for the strategic vision of the submarine force, a force made up of 28,000 personnel, comprising 85 submarine crews, their submarines, and associated supporting organizations. Please join me in welcoming the Commander of Submarine Forces, Vice Admiral Joe Tafalo.
Well, Matt, thank you for that very kind introduction. It is always an absolute thrill to be back here at Newport News. As the Commander of the Submarine Force, to look up and see that right there is just absolutely awesome, as you can expect. Mr. Vice President, Senator Donnelly, members of the Virginia delegation, Secretary Stackley, distinguished platform guests, shipbuilders, the crew and the family of the Indiana, and fellow friends of the submarine force. Again, just a true treat to be here for the christening of this fantastic new submarine. I want to specifically recognize Mrs. Diane Donald, who for 37 years has been an integral part of the submarine force family. Few are as deserving as you are, ma'am, for this position as submarine sponsor, and it is just a real treat to be with you here today, ma'am. I, too, would like to congratulate our amazing shipbuilders who make Virginia and the Virginia-class submarine the best submarine on the planet. We need Indiana to be just that, so that this crew can take her into harm's way anywhere in the world. From the polar ice cap to the Western Pacific to the Mediterranean and Arabian seas, Indiana will operate in the most challenging environments on Earth as her crew protects America's strategic interests throughout the world, on scene, unseen, providing assured access and influence. For the crew of Indiana, despite the magnificence of this new submarine, it is nothing without you, and we need you. Combatant commanders around the world are asking for more and more submarines because there are some very important things that need to be done, and many that only you can do. As a maritime nation, the responsibility to prevent challengers from using the sea to threaten the United States falls on our Navy. As systems proliferate that are designed to deny us ocean areas because of your assured access and influence, this share of responsibility that falls on the submarine force is only likely to grow. Crews like you, operating submarines like Indiana, who can get in underneath an adversary's systems, are the key that unlock the door for the greater joint force. Congratulations on being part of this tremendous challenge and opportunity. Skipper Zimbauer, as Indiana's commanding officer, on your shoulders rests the ultimate responsibility, authority, and accountability for the performance of this ship and crew. It is your job to ensure that your people are always the silent victors, as your ship motto calls you to be. Mrs. Donald, the Indiana is privileged to have your energy and compassion as part of this ship's legacy. On behalf of 28,000 submariners in our Navy, I thank you for your continued support of your submarine force family. Ladies and gentlemen, I eagerly await the day when USS Indiana assumes the watch as the first nuclear-powered U.S. warship named in honor of the Hoosier State. Congratulations again to shipbuilder, crew, and sponsor. May God bless the submarine force and the United States of America. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Admiral. Our next speaker calls Indiana home. He attended the University of Notre Dame. After college, he ran a small business and also practiced law in the state before being elected to public office. He previously represented the 2nd Congressional District of Indiana, and today he represents Indiana in the U.S. Senate, where he serves on the Armed Services Committee, a committee near and dear to shipbuilding. Please welcome Senator Joe Donnelly.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a real privilege. Thank you to all of you for having me here. Mr. Vice President, it's extraordinary to be here with you in this place. I don't think a year ago either you or I thought we would be here for this afternoon. To Mrs. Donald, what a wonderful sponsor. We are so fortunate to have you representing our name. To the captain and the XO and the Cobb, to all of our suppliers who put their heart and soul into this every single day, to our guests, our elected representatives from Indiana, from around the country, to all our friends from Indiana and around the country who have traveled here, to the shipbuilders who have done this incredible magic. When you think it can't be done, all you have to do is look. And to the plank owners and members of the battleship Indiana, you saved our country, you saved our lives. God bless you so much for everything you have done. Well, my dad was an enlisted Navy man. And he said, Joe, stay away from admirals and officers. Only bad things can happen. I tell him, Dad, I have no choice today. But I know this. He did the laundry. He swabbed the decks. Captain, he would be proud to be part of your crew here today on the USS Indiana. And we know this. This ship will go into harm's way. We are a nation at war. Every day, all you have to do is pick up the paper to see the dangers that we see out there. And these men, this crew, are going to be at the very tip of the spear. And you have given them the tools, the equipment, the ability to accomplish everything here. We are so proud of everything you are working on, of the training you will be doing, of the precision work you are focused on, and the safety you are providing to all Americans. And as I know our other Hoosiers feel the same way, we're very, very proud of this crew and boat. We feel it's a reflection of our state. Congressman, we think we're a lot like the Commonwealth. We're hardworking. We're dedicated. We look out for one another. We love our country. As a vice president would tell you, as he was our former commander-in-chief of the Indiana National Guard, we have more members in the Indiana National Guard per capita than any other state in the country. We are workhorses. We are not show horses. We don't look for a fight, but we really enjoy one. And we'll finish them in a pretty strong way. So, Captain, on behalf of the people of Indiana, we're grateful for your leadership. We're grateful to these great companies that have built this. For this boat, which carries our name, to the amazing crew who will lead it. to the shipbuilders who have kept our nation safe. We're grateful to all of you. So God bless this boat, God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Our next speaker serves as the Acting Secretary of the Navy and leads America's Navy and Marine Corps. He is responsible for an annual budget in excess of $170 billion and leadership of almost 900,000 people. We are happy to welcome him back to the shipyard. Please welcome the Acting Secretary of the Navy, Sean Stackley.
Mr. Vice President, Senator Donnelly, today we are all Hoosiers. Today we are all shipbuilders. Today we are the officers and crew of the Indiana. Today we are the United States Navy. And what a great day today is. Virginia delegation, your strong voice on Capitol Hill makes ours a stronger Navy. Thanks for all that you do on behalf of our sailors and Marines. Senator Winter, good to see you today. Admiral Caldwell, Admiral Donald, welcome back to your Navy, but you can relax today, sir. Mrs. Donald has the watch. Diane, you've touched the Navy in many lasting ways through the years. It is most fitting that you put your touch to this, the newest boat in our Navy. And to the skilled shipbuilders of Newport News, an electric boat, you have built well. As we sit here today, within reach of the Gerald R. Ford, the newest and most powerful aircraft carrier in the world, to christen the newest and most capable submarine in the world, warships that could only be built here in America. One can only marvel at your great workmanship, which is exceeded only by your great patriotism. Bound by two great oceans, what has remained true throughout our history remains true to this day, that we are a maritime nation, that the freedoms born by the promise of our Constitution, the freedoms that have been preserved by the blood of patriots, the freedoms that we cherish so deeply here in America, that the blessings of these freedoms and the strength of our Navy are one and inseparable. And it has been our heritage, our grace, that throughout our history, heroes in blue jackets, and today, in Cracker Jacks, American sailors have stepped forward to man our ships, to answer all bells, to serve our nation. Heroes like the officers and crew of the battleship Indiana, BB-58, who at the darkest hour of the last century, when our nation's need was greatest, helped turn the tide of the war in the Pacific. Gentlemen, all members of that greatest generation, our Navy owes you and your shipmates a tremendous debt of gratitude. And today we pay that debt in the best way we know how. For today we pass the torch to a new generation of American sailors who, like you, will proudly call themselves the Indiana, and who, like you, will sail far from our shores to protect this land that we love. And so it is that today, from the Eastern Mediterranean to the Straits of Hormuz, from the Straits of Malacca to the Sea of Japan, more than 100 U.S. Navy ships are underway, providing assurance to our allies, maintaining persistent surveillance in regions of interest, conducting special operations undetected, safeguarding the choke points of the world, standing poised to assure access, to strike if necessary, to provide humanitarian relief if needed, and all the while serving as the enduring, reliable deterrent that underpins our nation's security. To say that they are the best at what they do does not do them justice, for among all the world's navies, none other can do what they do. Our heroes in blue jackets, our heroes in Cracker Jacks, our American sailors. And today, they are made more strong as we add to their number. And so we commend to you, the officers and crew of the Indiana, as we consider the service that you will render to our nation in the years ahead. We wish you Godspeed. Godspeed, Indiana. God bless your sponsor, who gives you grace. God bless your crew. He gives you strength. And God bless these United States, whom you will protect. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Stackley. It is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome our next speaker. We are honored that Vice President Mike Pence could take time out of his busy schedule to serve as our keynote speaker today. It speaks volumes about his respect of the United States Navy, of American workers, and of his home state, Indiana, for which this submarine is named. Born and raised in Indiana by parents who taught him the importance of hard work, Mike Pence earned a law degree, began a syndicated talk radio show, and along the way got married and raised 3 children. And he did all of this in Indiana. Growing up there, surrounded by good, hard-working Hoosiers, Vice President Mike Pence always knew that he needed to give back to the state and the country that had given him so much. In 2000, he launched a successful bid for his local congressional seat, and the people of Indiana elected him 6 times to represent them in Congress. In 2013, Vice President Pence left the nation's capital when he was elected the 50th governor of Indiana. During his time as governor, he invited the Indiana crew and her sponsor to his home state for visits, and has always demonstrated great interest in this submarine and her sailors. Last summer, Vice President Pence was selected as the vice presidential candidate, and the American people elected him and President Donald Trump into office on November 8, 2016. We're delighted to have him with us today. Please join me in welcoming the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence.
Acting Secretary Stackley, Mrs. Diana Donald and the Admiral, Admiral Fargo, Vice Admiral Tafalo, Vice Admiral Malloy, Captain Lemon, Commander Zimbauer, Petty Officer Ha, the crew members of the USS Indiana, present and the past members of the crew of the USS Indiana, members of the United States Navy, distinguished guests, I bring greetings from your Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. It is my great privilege, on his behalf, to join you here today for the christening of what will soon be the best-named boat in the United States Navy, the USS Indiana. Senator Donnelly, Congressman Scott, members of the Virginia delegation, and members of the Indiana General Assembly who are with us here today. It is a real joy for me to be with you. As I served as governor of the state of Indiana, I learned of this extraordinary boat, but I could not have well imagined that I would be standing before you today in this moment with the great privilege to be at this christening. And I thank you all for being here and for the work that you have done to arrive at this moment, christening the new USS Indiana, just one day shy of the 75th anniversary of the dedication and christening of the last USS Indiana. That feels providential to me. So to Matt Mullerin, to Jeff Geiger, to Mike Petters, to Samuel Brandon, to the extraordinary craftsmen of Newport News Shipbuilding, let's give these great builders a round of applause. This is impressive work. You know, today marks the 100th day since President Donald Trump took his oath of office, and I took mine. And he sent me here today on this historic occasion as a sign of his deep commitment to the armed forces of the United States of America, and to his commitment to make the strongest fighting force in the world even stronger still. You know, it's the greatest privilege of my life to serve as vice president to a president who is so dedicated to the men and women of our armed forces, to their families, to our veterans, and to the brave Americans who work tirelessly every day to support our military. And that really includes all the shipbuilders that we just applauded a few moments ago. For more than 120 years, the men and women gathered here, many of you, second and third and fourth generation shipbuilders, have built from the bottom up the American fleets that have fostered security and prosperity on the high seas and between our land and distant others. Know today that you have the gratitude, all the builders gathered here, you have the gratitude of our Commander-in-Chief for your unwavering commitment to your country, your patriotism, your craftsmanship, and rest assured, President Trump will honor your commitment with historic investments in our national defense. In just his first 100 days in office, President Trump has already taken decisive action to end an era of budget cuts to America's military and to America's security. The President has actually submitted a budget which will rebuild our military, restore the arsenal of democracy, and we will move in the next year one of the largest increases in defense spending since the days of President Ronald Reagan. And just next week, with President Trump's leadership and the strong support of the members of Congress gathered here today, Congress will pass a spending bill with long overdue investments in our military readiness even before this fiscal year ends. That's what leadership looks like. At a time of mounting threats across the globe, President Trump has made it clear. America's national security is this president's highest priority, now and always. Rest assured, President Trump will make the strongest fighting force in the world strongest still. For his history attests, when America is strong, the world is safe. And the USS Indiana will bear witness to this truth. You know, it really is deeply humbling for this son of Indiana to be here today at the christening of this mighty and majestic boat, the Virginia-class nuclear submarine, the USS Indiana. I have to tell you, it's more than a little bit emotional to me to be standing here in Newport News, seeing the Indiana flag fluttering just below the American flag behind you all. Makes me feel like I'm back home. This boat bears the name, I can promise you, of one of the most patriotic states in America. And I truly believe that she reflects the unmatchable courage and the unwavering spirit of those Hoosiers, past and present, who stood up and step forward to defend the flame of freedom. For generations, stretching back into the midst of American history, the sons and daughters of Indiana have donned the uniform to serve our nation, and they've done so with distinction and with courage. Our history books are filled with proof. In the wake of World War II, no less an authority than the United States Navy declared Indiana's representation in the Navy was, quote, extraordinary in quality, with 3 of the 7 admirals in 1944 hailing from the Hoosier State. The 12 stars they had between them shone bright, not just on the Wabash, but on waves all across the world. The Navy's recognition of Indiana's service and sacrifice goes back even further. The boat that sits beside me today is not the first to bear the name of the USS Indiana, as we've heard many times from this podium. Captain Zimbauer, you and the men and women who you will lead are the heirs of a long and proud tradition that reaches back into the 19th century. 126 years ago, tomorrow, in 1891, the keel of the first USS Indiana was laid down in Philadelphia. Less than 2 years later, she steamed out of dry dock and into American history. In the Spanish-American War, the USS Indiana joined the blockade of Santiago, where she helped sink 2 Spanish vessels and eliminated an entire fleet. The second ship to bear the name was even more impressive. From 1939 to 1941, this very shipyard built and launched a second battleship emblazoned with the USS Indiana on her seal. From the Solomon Islands to Iwo Jima, she served on the front lines of freedom and helped establish the foundation of peace and prosperity that reigns in the Asian Pacific to this very day. And I'm humbled to say that these 14 members of that very crew are here with us today, including, I'm told, 2 of her plank owners who were there at her commissioning, Ozen Carrier and John Wright. Would you all mind giving a standing ovation one more time to the extraordinary crew of the USS Indiana and to those 2 plank holders who are with us today? You know, men, I never saw your ship in all her glory, but she still lives on in the hearts and minds of Hoosiers, more than just memory. I can tell you the teak planks from her main deck were actually made into a beautiful desk that every Indiana governor has sat behind since 1964, me included. It was always very humbling for me to come to work every day at the Indiana State House and rest my elbows on the deck of a battleship. Now we turn the page to another chapter in Hoosier history, and it'll be just as proud. This USS Indiana, the third to bear the name, the first submarine, is a worthy inheritor of the name and legacy of our state. And already she bears the mark of Indiana, not just in her name, but from bow to stern. More than 100 Hoosier businesses have contributed to this boat's creation in one way or another. At least 2 members of her crew and 4 of her shipbuilders hail from our great state. And so many of the volunteers for the commissioning committee call Indiana home. Would you mind giving all the Hoosiers who are here a big, big round of applause, especially those 2 on the crew? You know, I'm personally grateful to everyone who's lent their time, their talent, and their treasure to the USS Indiana. And I know that President Trump is thankful as well. You know, this submarine is the most advanced to ever serve America. Steel within her skeleton, all 7,600 tons, and the steel in the hearts of her crew form the unbreakable, unshakable backbone of American freedom. When the USS Indiana goes to sea in just a few short weeks, she'll give witness to our country's strength of will and to our strength of arms. And as her sailors begin to fulfill their duty, they'll do so, as the saying goes, not for self, but for country, proving through their service and their sacrifice that those that stand before us in those emblazoned white uniforms, they are from the rest of us, but they are the best of us. We know they're ready. We pray they never feel the heat of battle, but we're grateful that the U.S. Indiana will be ready. We'll be there, beneath the waves, the hidden chariot of the silent victors, faithfully guarding our freedom, faithfully guarding our way of life. And so on behalf of the Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump, we christen the USS Indiana. And today, this humbled son of Indiana is truly grateful to have the opportunity to be with you today, to see my beloved state and all of her people so aptly embodied in this extraordinary boat. From this day forward, the spirit and the service of the Hoosier State will find a home on the 7 seas in this majestic and mighty submarine and in the proud crew who walk her decks. And only a few short months from now, when she completes her maiden voyage, the world will take note, for the USS Indiana signifies the enduring strength and leadership of the United States, a beacon of freedom in these stormy and uncertain times. Know today that under President Donald Trump, that beacon will shine bright, brighter than ever before. And with this president's leadership, the United States, I believe, is entering a new era of security, prosperity, and strength. And so I close with a word of confidence that with your help, with God's help, with the USS Indiana at sea, with the great armed forces of the United States of America and the valor and vigilance of all those who serve, that today we go forth to meet a glorious future together. May God bless and protect the USS Indiana and all who serve aboard her every day beneath our 7 seas. May God bless Indiana, and may God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our ship sponsor. A sponsor is said to impart her spirit into the ship, and I can think of no one more deserving of such an honor. Diane Donald's partnership with the Navy actually began at an Army-Navy football game where she met a young Naval Academy midshipman. As the story goes, they had a nice time, went to a local bar after the game ended, hung out until her date and his classmate had to board the bus, head back to the Naval Academy. Diane and her friend walked the men to their bus, said their goodbyes. As the bus pulled away, Diane and her friend realized they were lost, by themselves in an unfamiliar town, with their dates safely on a bus back to Annapolis. Diane, we're glad you found your way home and that you gave that midshipman who left you stranded another chance. She ended up marrying him, and she has admirably served our Navy and our nation for 37 years. Diane has approached her role as Indiana's sponsor with the same sense of duty, dedication, and enthusiasm. In fact, I hear she's been emailing our christening team this week at 3 a.m. just to make sure she was prepared and ready for today's event. Diane, we appreciate your commitment, and we are honored that you will be forever affiliated with this great submarine and with our shipbuilders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our ship sponsor for Indiana, Mrs. Diane Donald.
Thank you, Matt, for that kind introduction. It meant a lot. Mr. Vice President, thank you for being here today. This is not the first time you've shared your time with some of the crew in Indiana in need. 2 years ago, you graciously hosted us as Governor of Indiana in your office during Navy Week. And while I don't think any of us foresaw the events that have brought you here today, I am honored to have you participate in the christening of the great ship Indiana as our Vice President. To all our distinguished guests, and most notably our veterans from USS Indiana, BB-58, thank you for being here today. And to all the families and friends from Indiana, welcome. I would say the sun is shining on Indiana today. It's the honor of a lifetime to be here today. I can just feel the pride and commitment of our shipbuilders, crew members, and the citizens of Indiana for their ship. While the size of this submarine alone is stunning, the complexity inside sets it apart from any other machine ever built. As you walk the tight, narrow passageways, it's hard to fathom how everything fits inside, but it's obvious that every square inch of space has its purpose. Much of the credit for this belongs to our highly skilled shipbuilders from Newport News Shipbuilding and Electric Boat. I've been able to visit these shipyards and can attest to both the difficulty of what they do as well as to their skill and dedication. These ships are second to none, made in America by truly remarkable Americans. To the shipbuilders, you give the absolute best of yourselves to deliver a safe, well-built submarine that will carry our sailors to sea in defense of our country. It's important that your families can see the fruits of your labor displayed here today and share in your sense of pride and accomplishment. From me, the ship's sponsor, thank you. Thank you for a job well done on Indiana. I know I'm not the only one overflowing with pride today. Just think about the folks from the state of Indiana. It's been over 75 years since a ship has been named in honor of that great state. During my visit to Indianapolis for Navy Week in 2015, the Indiana State Fair was location central for Hoosiers to get to know their Indiana sailors. These welcoming, hardworking, and patriotic people embraced their crew. They are the epitome of Middle America, representing cities, towns, and farms with an industrious spirit, a bent for hospitality, and an unwavering respect for the military and their veterans. Coming from Washington, D.C., I quickly realized I was not on the Beltway anymore, and it was quite refreshing. Indiana is represented here today by the members of the Commissioning Committee and the citizens who are working hard to build lasting bonds between the state and the ship. Thank you for all your support. Along with the shipbuilders, sailors, Indiana State supporters, and dignitaries, there is a group of unsung heroes here today. All the spouses, children, moms and dads, grandparents, aunts and uncles, extended family and friends of the team that is building and will take Indiana to sea. These folks are the support network that are there unselfishly and unconditionally. They share in both the challenges and accomplishments without a lot of credit or acknowledgement. For those of us who have been around submarining for a while, we know there is no success without them. Many of my unsung heroes are here today, and to them, thank you from the bottom of my heart. For Team Indiana families and friends, thank you for all you have done to make this day possible and for what you will do to continue to make your sailors and Indiana the pride of the fleet. And finally, to the Indiana crew, you are my rock stars. You're looking sharp in the uniform of our nation today. You get to show off your ship a bit today, and that is totally deserved. It can all look a little glamorous on a day like today, but we know looks are deceiving. I know a thing or two about your hard work and sacrifice. I also know that the days ahead will present you many more challenges, but will leave you with a sense of accomplishment when you finally take your ship to sea. Submarining is a tough business. Schedules are, shall we say, flexible for a submariner and their families. Expect the unexpected is a way of life. Submariners deploy for months at a time to who knows where, doing who knows what. Whatever it involves, they usually seem anxious to go and do more of it. During their time at sea, they miss holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, births, and family losses. While in port, a submariner's mind is never far from the waterfront, working long, tireless hours on repairs and whatever else it takes to keep the ship in fighting shape. Submarines are demanding partners requiring a special breed of sailor and a dedication to teamwork that is unprecedented. As I've had the chance to spend time with you during visits to the ship, travels to show the American public some Indiana pride, and to celebrate with you at submarine birthday balls, I know you, individually and as a team, have what it takes. You represent that special breed, submariner. I am so proud of you, all that you have accomplished and will continue to do as a member of the Navy team that will ready Indiana for the fleet. Please count me as your biggest fan. You are in my thoughts and prayers, and I'm rooting for you every day. May God bless this ship, her crew, our Navy, and the United States of America. Thank you.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. I'd like to ask Diane Donald, Vice President Pence, and Commander Zimbauer to join me as we make our way to the bottle break platform. When we get there, the shipyard whistle will sound, indicating it's time to christen SSN 789. After the christening, we'll return to the stage for a special presentation.
I christen thee United States ship Indiana. May God bless this submarine and all who sail in her. Yeah!
Nice work, Diane. Before we go, we have one final presentation. But first, I'd like to just take a moment to thank the christening team who put on today's event. Thank you for putting on another great ceremony. And now, Diane, I'd like to ask you to join me at the podium where we have a special gift for you. It's a handmade wooden box made by the shipbuilders in our pattern shop. And inside the box, we have the christening bottle, or what's left of it, at least. We hope these gifts will always remind you of today's ceremony and your special role in the life of Indiana. I'd like to thank everyone for coming today. Please remain seated until the Vice President leaves the stage. In about 10 minutes, for those of you who would like to go to the bottle break platform, we will allow everyone the opportunity to do so. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our fabulous ceremony. Have a great afternoon.
He is. They're not giving him. I'm just saying. I'm with you. Yeah, he's really good. Want to go in front of me?